Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance, from superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
So I'm a father of one. I gotta find a babysitter. I found care.com and I was blown away. Through the platform, I was able to find local and experienced candidates along with their reviews and rates, which were way more affordable than I anticipated. Care.com really put me at ease knowing that they were all required to go through a background check. If you're like me and you need to find someone reliable for your childcare necessities, check out care.com. Find the ideal sitters for your childcare needs.
You hear that? Your dog knows. Spring is coming sooner than you think. Dog walks, dog parks, playing fetch, all the stuff your dog loves to do with you. But the warmer weather also means that fleas and ticks are coming back. Fleas and ticks are in the grass, in the woods, and even on their dog friends. Fleas are an itchy nuisance, can easily get into your home, furniture, and beds, which can be terrible. Ticks are even worse. They're hard to spot, but can carry disease and get your dog really sick. PetMeds has your furry friend protected with the best products to prevent flea and ticks all year long. PetMeds pharmacists connect directly with your vet to save you time and deliver the best products for your pet. PetMeds offers low prices on all flea and tick meds, including NexGard, Simparica, and more. And PetMeds AutoShip helps you save even more with additional discounts on regular shipments of pet meds, dog food, and other high-quality supplies. So get ready for all the spring fun now. Visit petmeds.com and use promo code PODCAST to save 40% on your first auto ship order. That's petmeds.com and promo code podcast.
It's time to get in the zone. Time to get in the zone with the 49ers Web Zone. This is the No Huddle Podcast with Al and Brian.
What's up, faithful? You're listening to another episode of the 49ers Web Zone No Huddle Podcast, a part of the Odyssey Network. I'm Brian Renick. He's Al Sacco. The legal tampering has begun in the NFL. Lots of news, lots of movement. Some movement in San Francisco, some big names that may be on their way out. And the 49ers have brought in a sizable name at the beginning of free agency. Al, I know my phone is about 0.5% just from all the refreshing on Twitter. How much have you been paying attention so far?
Oh man, trying to do my real job during the day, but it's hard when you're just refreshing for 5 or 6 hours. And there was a time in my life when I used to get texts from people like agents and things who would tell me rumors, but that time is past. I have no connections like that anymore. So I got to go to, I'm just on Twitter, like what's going on and everything like that. Which is fine. It's fun as hell to do. But Brian, this is where my head's at right now. And as we go through this, we go through it like fans or whatever, we hear something and we think this, we think that, we're looking at all different opinions and our brains are churning. When news broke Sunday night that they were going to release Arik Armstead, who has been a great 49er, who, despite what his stats say, is a very impactful player. He is a Pro Bowl level defensive tackle. He makes a huge difference if you really watch him. He was phenomenal in the Super Bowl. And I know he had some injury issues this year, but he had a terrific season. And he's been a terrific 49er. Now, when this is how good his season was. His 85.6 pass rushing grade last season was a career high. And he is 10th all time in Niners history with sacks. And he is one of the most versatile defensive linemen in the league. Huge loss, huge salary. So when I hear that, and our friend Mike Silver, who was right on the ball, was talking about what the Niners might do.
Yes, he was.
On Twitter and everything that he said. But my initial thoughts go to their big game money. Mm-hmm. And I talked about Chris Jones. Obviously, he wasn't available. There were some rumblings that they looked into Christian Wilkins. In my head, other than that, Wilkins goes to the Raiders, obviously.
Yeah.
my head keeps going to Daniil Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
That's who I thought they were going after, and maybe they were. Hunter hasn't signed anywhere as of us recording this on Monday.
Right.
Maybe they were, and he was too expensive. Maybe we'll find that out. But when word comes that they signed Leonard Floyd, he's an upgrade. Make no mistake, he is an upgrade at the other defensive end position over Chase Young, who I guess plays when he wants to, over Cleveland Farrell, who's, very, very average.
Yeah.
Leonard Floyd's a guy who's had, it's like 10 sacks, 9 sacks, 10.5 sacks, 9.5 sacks the last 4 years. He gives to the quarterback. Yeah. He plays, he stays on the field. He's able to play. He's not a Hunter. He's a Robin to your Batman, or whatever you want to call it. He is a second edge guy, but that's what they needed. He's a speed edge guy on the other side who can make plays and get sacks, which is what they really didn't have over Bosa last year. Does that make up for losing Arik Armstead? No. Is the offseason anywhere close to over? No. But a lot of people seem like this was it. It's not it. There's more time, but I get why people are kind of like, and it's just a 1-year stopgap, Brian. It's a 2-year, $20 million deal, $12 million guaranteed. He's 32 years old, or he will be in September. He's going to be on the team for a year. This is just a stopgap move. It's a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
So.
And here's the thing, one, the Arik Armstead move has not been made yet. Matt Mayoko even tweeted out about 5 minutes ago that the 49ers did not turn in any transactions to the league office today, meaning that they did not release Arik Armstead. So all we've heard is that that's what the plan is. And the interesting thing there is that is not, I think fans, and I know I did at first, I look at it and go, oh, okay, so they are, like you said, going big game hunting. But if they release Arik Armstead, it's going to be a post June 1 release, because that's the only way that they get actual cap relief from it. But the part that sucks about that is that they don't get to touch that money until after June 1st, when free agency is long over.
Right.
So releasing Arik Armstead doesn't really do anything for them in terms of what they can do in free agency right now. And I think we have to keep that in mind. Like you said, Leonard Floyd, 10.5 sacks in 2020, 9 in 21, 9.5 in 22, and then 10.5 in 23. He was with Brandon Staley in Chicago when Brandon Staley was the outside linebackers coach there. And then he followed Staley to LA. And then he was in Buffalo the last 2 seasons. Hasn't missed a game in the last 6 years. That's big. That's a big, kudos to him for keeping his body right and avoiding that injury bug. That's a part of it as well. And, I think what they did with this move is they upgraded the floor of the edge rusher opposite Nick Bosa, because Floyd is a decent run defender as well, which again is something that the 49ers struggled with. So is this a splash? No. Is it a good signing? Yeah, I think it is a good signing. But time will tell what this looks like if indeed they do release Arik Armstead, because like I said, they haven't done that yet. And, when things like when news like that releases, it tends to be true. I'm not saying that it's not true. I'm not saying that they aren't going to release Armstead, but they haven't done it yet. And so, there is that to consider. To me, Christian Wilkins, he signed with the Raiders 5 for 110. The 49ers were never going to be able to match that. I think for me at this point, DJ Jones was released by the Broncos. There could be a reunion there. DJ Jones played really well for the 49ers and a tremendous run defender. But to me, if you're looking to upgrade this line and Arik Armstead is not going to be a part of that, DJ Jones does not replace Arik Armstead. He's a good player, but he's not Arik Armstead. The problem with Armstead is his availability. And the other issue is it's just contract related. The 49ers have played around a lot with his contract over the past couple seasons just to get cap space, last year and the year before. And so the problem is that his cap hit this year is $17.5 million, and that's a base salary. There's nothing you could do with that unless you converted it to a signing bonus and then again just kicked the can down the road. And so they approached Armstead and said, hey, would you be willing to renegotiate that? And he said no. And I don't blame him, right? Because I think for Armstead, if they do release him, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that he goes someplace and gets a 2-year, $35-40 million deal.
Sure.
From someone else, right? At which point, he's now making more money than the 49ers were willing to pay him. So, it really is all about kind of cap casualty. And again, what we need to keep in mind is if they do release him, it doesn't help them right now. It's not going to be something that they do because they want to sign somebody huge in free agency, because they're not going to be able to touch that money until June 1st. That money, to me, is probably earmarked for a Brandon Ayuk extension. That's, in my mind, that is likely why they are doing this, because again, it's just post June 1.
Yeah,
but
and that would make sense as well.
But when you talk about, the difference between Floyd and Hunter, Danielle Hunter, outside of 2021, when he only played 7 games, he has started 16 or 17 straight games since 2017 with Minnesota. And in those years, in 2017, he had 7 sacks. In 18, he had 14.5. In 19, he had 14.5. In 21, when he only played 7 games, he had 6. And then in 22, he had 10.5. And last year, he had 16.5. That is an impact signing.
He's a monster. I
don't know that signing Leonard Floyd precludes you from signing Danielle Hunter, but it certainly feels that way, especially if you're signing Floyd for, like you said, $12 million this year. I don't think at that point Hunter is on the table anymore. So then the question becomes, do you make a splash at D tackle? And to me, the one that is available right now that I think would make a world of difference for this defense and for this run defense is DJ Reader, the D tackle from Cincinnati. I think that would be a big splash, but outside of that, I just don't see them doing it. And, we talked about maybe upgrading the offensive line, and then you look at some of the contracts that got handed out to guards.
Huge.
My goodness. No, Robert Hunt, 5 years, $100 million from the Panthers. The Rams have upgraded. They extended their own guy, but also signed Jonah Jackson from the Lions. And Mike Onwenu is still out there, but he wants tackle money. Maybe they give him that and then they bump McKivitz inside, right? I don't know. But it certainly seems like, based on some things that Silver said in that article that we read, a handful of episodes ago, but also a thread that he put out, I don't know, it was either yesterday or the day before, where it was essentially like, listen, the 49ers probably aren't going to make a big splash. They're going to look for value, and they're going to wait it out and wait this market out. So as boring as that is for us and for fans, it just kind of seems like the way that today went, it certainly seems like Mike Silver was dead on.
Let's take a quick break, and then I'm going to tell you something that concerns me a little bit about Floyd, and then just about sort of the retooling that the Niners are going to do.
Selling a little or a lot? Shopify helps you do your thing, however you cha-ching. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. From the launch your online shop stage, to the first real-life store stage, all the way to the did we just hit 1 million orders stage. Shopify is here to help you grow. Whether you're selling scented soap or offering outdoor outfits, Shopify helps you sell everywhere. From their all-in-one e-commerce platform to their in-person POS system, wherever and whatever you're selling, Shopify's got you covered. Shopify helps you turn browsers into buyers with the internet's best converting checkout. 15% better on average compared to other leading commerce platforms. And sell more with less effort thanks to Shopify Magic, your AI-powered all-star. Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the US. And Shopify is the global force behind Allbirds, Rothy's, and Brooklinen, and millions of other entrepreneurs of every size across 175 countries. Plus, Shopify's award-winning 24/7 help is there to support your success every step of the way. Because businesses that grow, grow with Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Odyssey Podcast, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Odyssey Podcast now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/Odyssey Podcast.
Imagine the softest sheets you've ever felt. Now imagine them getting even softer over time. I'm here to tell you about Boll & Branch sheets. In a recent customer survey, 96% replied that Boll & Branch sheets get softer with every wash. They're made from the rarest organic cotton and designed to get even softer over time. Try their sheets with a 30-night guarantee plus 15% off your first order with code Odyssey. So head to BOLLandbranch.com today. Exclusions apply. See site for details.
Have you been dreaming about paying off credit card debt, installing solar panels, going to college, or even buying a plane? Yes, someone really did that. With a Figure HELOC, your home can help you cover vacations, medical bills, retirement, wedding expenses, home improvement, emergencies, or a pool. The opportunities are endless. Unlock up to $400,000 and choose the fastest HELOC on the planet at Figure.com. Faster than a bank loan, cheaper than a personal loan. Figure Lending, LLC, DBA Figure, Equal Opportunity Lender, NMLS 1717824. Terms and conditions apply. Visit Figure.com for more information. For licensing information, go to NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
So Floyd, he spent last year with Buffalo. He was with, so 1 year with Buffalo. And, you know, the Bills are my Gumar. So I watch a lot of Bills games and I pay attention. And when the Bills signed him, read an article that said, you know, Floyd had never ranked higher than 23rd in pass rush win rate. His pass rush win rate had plummeted from 33rd among edge defenders in 2021 to 83rd in 2022. I do not know what it was last year. I'll have to look it up. Watching a lot of Bills games, the way it felt watching him was like he'd get a sack and you'd be like, oh, there's Floyd. It wasn't, you know, a Nick Bosa situation where you're like, dude, that dude's crushing the pocket or that dude's all over the place. It was, hey, oh, wait, there's Leonard Floyd. He got a sack. Kind of like one of those things, which, again, I'm not going to say I've watched a million Leonard Floyd snaps. I've watched more recently this past year. When you're looking at those win rates and things like that and pressure percentage, maybe it's kind of the player he is, you know, where you're going to be like, oh, hey, there he is. But he has been productive. So that's a little concerning. What else is concerning to me? And again, this is just, you hear the news, your brain works. This is the fun part of being a fan and having a talk show and doing things like that. When I think of the Niners again, are you all in again for 2024? Well, we've been saying this is a year that's going to be sort of retooling and trying to go all in. This move to me is negative on both sides, and I'll tell you why. One, and again, the offseason is not done. This is not done. So I'm not saying, like, oh, my God, the sky is falling. No. But if Arik Armstead is gone, you're worse on the defensive line today than you were 2 days ago or whatever it is, even with Floyd being better on the edge, because Arik Armstead is that damn good. He really is. If you don't think that, you're not watching the games. Arik Armstead is a hell of a football player. And I know he's been hurt the past couple of years, and I know all those things. But if you're trying to run it back for another year while trying to retool, he was only on the year, going to be on the team for another year anyway. But now you don't have him this year. Second reason why I'm kind of like, what the fuck, a little bit. Again, I'd like it for 2024, but just overall. And let's see how the draft goes. Let's see what else happens. We have no idea what's going to happen. But this is a Band-Aid. So you get a Hunter, you have him for 3 years. You get a Bryce Huff, who the Eagles got, right? You have him for 4 or 5 years. Just somebody like that who's going to be on the team for a few years. This is just a year. So then in 2025, again, we're like, well, now what do we do? In the 49ers, if you're telling me they're not going to make another big splash, and they might not, you're right. What's the starting defensive line right now? Bosa, Hargrave, who is 32 years old and one-dimensional. He's not a good run defender. Floyd, who's 32 years old. And Kalia Davis?
Right now, yeah.
Right now. And even if you had DJ Jones, like you said in there, what are you doing on third downs? You know, DJ Jones is pretty much a two-down player, right? I mean, he's phenomenal. He can rush. The DJ Jones can rush the passer. He's incredibly athletic. But, you know, you think of, you know, the 2019 Niners when you have D Ford and Armstead and Buckner and Bosa and, you know, those kind of packages. That's like, holy shit, that's a defensive line. This one, to me, it still worries me. They still need more depth. They said they might resign Javon Kinlaw. Okay, I'm glad he had a good year, but again, he's got knee issues. He only had one good year, and it was in a contract year. I don't feel super great about that long term. So, you know, I don't know. This is one of those moves again. Not a bad move, a good move through 2024, but at the same point, I'm kind of like, I got to see what the rest of the pieces of the puzzle are here, and they're to come. But this one initially, I'm like, all right, Band-Aid.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah. Well, and but you got also, I think one of the things that we forget about, Hunter is going to turn 30 during the season next year. So Danielle Hunter isn't young either. He'll be on the wrong side of 30 during the season next year, or at
you
least
could say 3
30.
years. Like you had 3 years with him, I feel like.
Yeah, and that could be the case, but yeah, we talked about this being a very pivotal offseason, and I honestly, if they release Arik Armstead, I don't understand the move. And it doesn't make them better now, and it doesn't really make them better moving forward because Armstead was going to be gone anyway. So that's where the move is really really kind of an interesting and weird move to me, because again, the dead cap on Armstead is massive, and so if they do it as post June 1, like I said, that doesn't help them. It doesn't really help them for this season. And if this is the season that you're running it back, you're, like you said, you're making yourself worse, unless they're in on somebody else like a DJ Reader. DJ Jones is not. That's not a replacement for Arik Armstead.
No.
And
we love DJ Jones. I love
correct. He's a depth piece and a tremendous depth piece. And if they can find, and that's the thing is Denver released him. And so, they owe him money, just like, they're paying Russell Wilson to be the starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, which I think is hysterical. But, and the Steelers visit Denver this year. So if the Steelers come in and win, or if Russ leads the Steelers to the playoffs, which is, in my opinion, a definite possibility, just because that Pittsburgh team is always good on defense, can run the ball. Yeah, it is a tough division, but regardless, I don't know that they'd have to give DJ Jones a ton of money, and he might be willing to come for a year, and get paid from Denver. And there's just offset language in there where the 49ers, if they sign him for the vet minimum, then they pay him that, and then Denver has to pay him the rest. But if you release a guy like Arik Armstead, there's got to be another move that you have coming down the pipe. That's the only thing that I keep thinking is there has to be another move. You have to be ready to pivot somewhere else, because you are severely diminishing the one area of the team that you continue to talk about being the area that's most important to you, and that's the defensive line. So that's where I'm like, all right, well, we just have to have some patience. We have to see kind of what transpires, because like I said, I'm hard pressed to think that they're willing to move on from Armstead, injuries and all, if there isn't somebody of either close to equal or more production than Armstead, because Armstead is important to this team, not just for what he does, but what he means to his teammates, his locker room presence, his leadership,
huge,
all of that.
Great point. It's a great point.
That's a big loss. And so again, if you're not, if you're making that move, you have to have something in mind. Otherwise, it's just a void in leadership and on the field. And it just doesn't feel like that is what we've seen from this regime. And so, like I said, I have to think that there's another move. I don't know what it is. I don't think it's Leonard Floyd. I don't think they are releasing Arik Armstead in order to sign Leonard Floyd. That's definitely not what they're doing. So I'm just interested to see what it is. And is it a move that's not on the defensive line? Is it a move in the secondary? Is it a move on the offensive line? Right? Like, I don't know. But again, that money that you're freeing up from him doesn't help you right now in free agency. So it's just it's just really weird timing. And nobody has come out and really talked about like why. And I think part of that is because they haven't actually made the move yet. That's the other thing we got to keep in mind. They have not made that move yet. We heard rumors. It's been reported. But like I said, Mayoko tweeted out, nothing. The 49ers have not made any transactions to turn into the league office, which again, Leonard Floyd wouldn't be one of those. That doesn't mean that Leonard Floyd isn't going to sign. You can't sign anybody right now until Wednesday, right? This is legal tampering. Right. This is just you're negotiating, and then agents are putting it out there. So Leonard Floyd wouldn't have been a transaction anyway. What Mayoko is talking about specifically is the release of Arik Armstead.
You alluded to what he does in the locker room. We saw that video whenever it was with the other D lineman talking about him when he was, I think it was for the Man of the Year award he was nominated for, and just emotional. what he means to them and what he does for them and everything else. They were just really, really emotional about it. So yeah, he is a presence that's going to be tough, to replace in that locker room with that core, right? We keep talking about the core, but Buckner was a huge presence too when they moved on from him. I mean, Buckner was huge in the locker room, and they made that move there. So yeah, Brian, we'll see. That's most we could say right now is we'll see with this. Again, you have to trust them that they know what they're doing. They've made good moves in the past. They've had one of the best rosters in the NFL for, last 5 years or whatever it's been. So got to trust them on it. But still, the wheels are turning, right? Fans are thinking right now, how is this puzzle going to look at the end of the day? So let's get into it. Well,
I would say a little bit.
I'll
say a little bit of breaking news while we're here. This came out a couple minutes ago, but the 49ers have officially tendered Juwan Jennings with a 1-year tender at the second round level, meaning that if he were to explore free agency and another team would sign him, the 49ers would get that team's second round pick. It carries a price tag of $4.89 million. Obviously that really what they're doing is just giving themselves time to negotiate with him. And I would imagine, a probably like a 3-year extension. But it looks like Juwan Jennings won't be going anywhere because, again, I don't think any team is going to sign him to give up their second round pick. So it sounds like Juwan Jennings will be back in San Francisco.
And man, I just hope this Armstead thing does not linger until June 1st. And I just deal. Just get it done.
No.
Just get it done. All right, take a quick break, and then I'm going to tell you why I was actually okay with the Colton McKivitz extension.
Drowning in status updates and lost in endless emails? Break free with ClickUp.com, the one app to replace them all. Imagine a world where your team collaborates effortlessly in one shared space. No more chaos, just ClickUp. Your projects, tasks, and communication unified at last. Transform how you work with customizable views, seamless integration, and real-time updates. ClickUp is your shortcut to more productive days and happier teams. Join the millions of productive teams already streamlining their workflow. Visit ClickUp.com to get started.
My days working, taking care of my little ones can be a lot. I checked out care.com and it was so easy for me to find local, experienced, and background check sitters. Finding our babysitter was way more affordable than I thought. Care.com makes it super easy. Search for qualified candidates. You can view their profiles, read reviews and ratings, check their availability, send messages directly, and get the help that you need. Care.com should be every person's go-to.
When McKivitz got extended, there were a lot of people who were like, what the fuck? That I saw anyway. There wasn't a lot of positive, happy he was coming back. I'm good with McKivitz coming back, and let me tell you why. First and foremost, the 49ers have multiple needs right now. We've talked about it. They need defensive end still. They still need depth there, regardless of what you think of Floyd. They need defensive tackle. They need another corner. They've been looking at safeties. I think they need another wide receiver. They need offensive line help. They lost Charlie Warner today to the Falcons. They, depending on what you think of Latu and what's his name? Braden Willis, is that his name?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They may need another tight end. So there's needs on this team.
Oh, yeah. Charlie Warner, by the way, Charlie Warner signed with the Falcons.
So
Warner's
yeah. So there are needs on this team. By bringing him back, I think it was a $7 million extension for 2025. Yeah. Very affordable. It can be backup swing money on line if you need it to. But what it does is it gives you flexibility this year to not have to take a tackle up front because they do have, or in the first round, I should say, because they do have needs. And if a game-changing receiver is there, and Debo may not be there in 2025, that is a huge flexibility to have somebody like that there. The money he's making does not prohibit the 49ers from getting another tackle. So they can still draft a tackle the first round if they want to, or sign a tackle or do whatever they want to do, kick him inside to guard, which he's played before, or just use him as a swing tackle. So he can just be a versatile guy that you've had before. Third reason, if Trent Williams retires after 2024, regardless of what Trent says, we're on a year-to-year watch of Trent Williams right now. What is he, 36 years old?
Mm-hmm.
You still need tackles for 2025. You would need tackles, plural probably. We know McKivitz is serviceable at right tackle. He can plug in. We know that. And then we talked about the versatility of him being able to slide in at guard or back at the tackle. So to me, it's a smart signing at the money. They're not signing him to be their long-term right tackle for the next 5 years. It's just a good, versatile offensive line signing for a guy that, listen, regardless of what you think of him, and yes, I do think they need an upgrade at right tackle. Absolutely. But he was serviceable enough to get you to within overtime of the Super Bowl. right? So he wasn't that bad. I mean, they were still able to run a pretty productive offense with him. So do they need an upgrade? Yes. Is this a good depth signing, serviceable starter if you need it? Yes. I think both things can be true there.
For sure. And, when I initially saw it, I wasn't mad. It was just like, what I was worried about was that they're like, yeah, we're good at right tackle. And based on the numbers, I don't think that is what they think. I think they are, like you said, I think if they can't find somebody that they like or somebody in the draft that they like, that they think could outplay McKivitz, then they still have a right tackle that they know they can win games with, because they won a lot of games last season with Colton McKivitz at right tackle. But I think the other thing it does is it gives you flexibility to either A, draft a guard, right, or center at 31, like if Graham Barton falls, right, you've got a guard or a center that you could go with at 31, and now you still have McKivitz there, but you upgrade right guard. Or if you've got a tackle, now you can, like you said, bump McKivitz inside, and now you upgrade two positions at once. And so, I think it's a fine signing. I don't think it's as egregious as some people thought. But I think the fan base really is focused on the offensive line this offseason. And I think rightfully so. You could argue that they've lost 2 Super Bowls because of their offensive line and the lack of, and the lack of, I don't want to say resources, but they really don't put many resources into the guards outside of Aaron Banks being a 2nd round pick. Everything else that they've tried at guard has been, Laken Tomlinson was great, but he was a flyer from the Lions, and he turned in
just having to work out. Yep.
Which by the way, Leonard Tomlinson is available. He was released by the Jets.
He's not the same Leonard Tomlinson, though. He did not have a good season last year.
Yeah, or the season before. But
he's
again,
in his early 30s now.
Yeah, but you also didn't have Kyle Shanahan coordinating the offense in New York, and so there is something to be thought of there. But again, that would be a signing to come in and compete. And if he won the job, then great. And maybe that's like, hey, Feliciano went somewhere else. Let's call up Laken or whatever. But Laken played left guard, and Aaron Banks isn't going anywhere. So don't know if that's even a good move. But I like I said, rightfully so, the 49er fans are like, we need to upgrade the offensive line. And it just, when you sign McKivitz, it doesn't feel like that's what you think you need to do either. And I think that was part of the reaction. But there's a lot of offseason left. We really, really, really have to exercise some patience. And that's, again, what Mike Silver said in his thread on Twitter yesterday or the day before was, you're going to need to exercise some patience. The 49ers aren't going to make a move similar to what they did with Hargrave last year. And they are more searching for value and kind of waiting out the market. And, I think Floyd might be the biggest move they make over these first legal tampering days. But again, we still have tomorrow. There's still a lot of names out there. There are still some big names out there that are available. So just be patient, you guys. That's really all I can say, because if you're not, I think you're really gonna give yourself some stress that you might not need in your life right now.
Yeah, this is going to be really interesting off season. I have my concerns just because this team was so good for so long, and I really thought they had their chance, and didn't happen. And I think other teams in the NFC are getting better, and we're starting to see now Arik Armstead is most likely the first domino to fall from the core that has been so good for them to get them to this point. You can bring in other guys. You don't know if they're going to be able to make these same runs. The durability I know Armstead's missed games, but the core being able to play 4 out of 5 seasons, 19, 20 games. It's a lot. It's really hard on your body. It's hard for teams to do. That's why a lot of teams don't do that unless you have a Patrick Mahomes or a Tom Brady. If you don't have a quarterback like that to play long seasons like this and have a core that can do it. And, Armstead's missed games, but he showed up. He's been there in the playoffs. And Bosa missed a season, but for the most part, he's been there. Fred Warner's been there. Kittle misses games and Debo misses games, but they've played in these long seasons. So you don't know that you're going to bring in the same type of guys. So it's going to be a really interesting season to retool. And we'll see. I don't know, man. Little shell shocked after today, I think, and for the Armstead thing, but we'll see where we go. We got like 6 months to talk about it. So.
Yeah, we do. And I think there's been some interesting moves around the league as well. The Eagles are signing Bryce Huff and Saquon Barkley. It seems like they're, I said something about them getting a lot better. People didn't necessarily think that I was correct, but part of them getting better is bringing Vic Fangio in and bringing Kellen Moore in. And hey, let's not forget Big Dom will be back on the sidelines, which apparently is part of.
They lost Kelsey. They lost they've had Fletcher Cox retired.
Mm-hmm.
Right. They've lost some guys too.
But they also have the replacements on the roster already, which is again a shrewd move by Howie Roseman, because Kelsey talks very highly of Cam Jurgens, who will be his replacement. And then, they drafted Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis in back-to-back years. Davis didn't pan out his first 2 seasons, but you never know. But they've got guys to replace them. Not that, again, Kelsey is a generational talent at center. I think he's a Hall of Famer. Just a freak of an athlete at the size that he is. And then it sounds like the Giants and Panthers are working on hammering out a trade. It looks like Brian Burns will be a New York Giant, which eliminates any of those. Eliminates
the Niners swing that.
Yeah. And it'll be interesting to see what the compensation is, because the Giants have a pretty high draft pick. And if they're sending their first round pick, there's nothing that the 49ers could do to beat that. So,
and the Joey Bosa stuff doesn't excite me either. He's declining. He's missed 20 games the last 2 years. Mm-hmm. So that wasn't something, other than the cool part of the Bosa brothers playing together. Sure. That wasn't something where I was like, oh, that'd be awesome. Khalil Mack is another older guy, probably Band-Aid is probably a year or two. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, man. Danielle Hunter was the guy I had pegged. He was the guy I wanted.
And he's still out there. So, but I mean, I think this Floyd signing says that they're not going to be in on Hunter, but we'll see. Yeah. The other thing with Bosa and Mack is that they are owed a roster bonus by the Chargers on Friday. So if the Chargers do decide to cut ties with them, meaning a release and not a trade, they will become available. And again, very similar to Russell Wilson, right? You might be able to entice Joey Bosa to come play with his brother for a vet minimum, right? Because the Chargers are already going to be paying him. And at that point, that's a move you make because there's no reason not to. But again, that's not a signing where you go, yeah, we've got things figured out. You've got things figured out for maybe 5 games, right? Because that's about as many games as Joey has played the past 2 seasons. So again, that wouldn't be a move where you're done, right? It's just a move to add depth or whatever. But yeah, it's an interesting, it's an interesting offseason because they are stuck in the middle of trying to be prudent and not really hamstringing themselves for the future, but at the same time trying to gear up for one more run with this core. And so, those are moves that I think a lot of us probably can't predict, right? There's another guy out there that I think would be awesome on the edge, and that's Josh Uche. He is still out there. I don't know that. Go ahead.
Burns, the trade just went through as we're recording this, and the Giants are giving him 5 years, $150 million, 87.5 guaranteed.
There you go. Yeah.
That is a giant contract.
And that is not something that the 49ers would be able to give him. And it sounds like the compensation going back to Carolina is a 2nd and 5th round pick, which embarrassing for Carolina because 2 seasons ago, the Rams offered them 2 first-round picks and they said no. And then I believe there were multiple teams who were willing to offer a first-round pick at the trade deadline this season, and Carolina still said no. And now they franchise him and send him to New York for a 2nd and a 5th. So, yikes! That's not a great, not a great look for Carolina. But on the same day that they gave Robert Hunt 5 years and $100 million.
You know what?
like,
with these contracts, too,
yikes.
you see free agency and everybody's like, "Oh, I want my team to do that." The Niners have already done. The Niners got Nick Bosa. They sent him a huge contract, and Fred Warner,
Right.
and George
Right.
Kittle, and Deebo Samuel. A lot of these teams don't have guys like that they've re-upped and signed. So, but again, this core is getting older. How are they going to retool? That's what we're going to see. Fascinating offseason. Fascinating. I feel a little lukewarm and blah about today, but again, it's day one. So we'll see how it goes.
We'll see how it goes. Day 2 and 3 and 4.
And
and
yeah,
5.
and we'll pop on. We'll be back at some point this week, but if something big happens, you're me or Brian or both of us, we'll see. Somebody will come in and react to it. But until then,
Absolutely.
we'll talk to you guys.
Later.
Niners on 3. 1, 2, 3.
2400 Sports is an Odyssey company.
Old Man Winter here. If I had it my way, it would stay winter all year long. Short days, wind chill, black ice, and a good polar vortex. Oh, heaven! Wait, is it getting warm in here?
Your cold snap is over, Old Man Winter. Spring has arrived.
Spring.
Spring is here, which means it's the perfect time to get away in the Hyundai you've always wanted. Visit the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event, where you can get great deals on all of our award-winning Hyundai models, like the tech-filled Tucson and Kona, as well as the spacious Palisade. Enjoy wherever you go with the peace of mind that comes with America's best warranty and 3 years or 36,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. But hurry in, these deals won't last. Add more joy to your journey at the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Now get 0% APR or up to $1,500 bonus cash on the Hyundai Tucson. Now during the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Offers end soon. Call 562-314-4603 for details.